Well, what's up, guys? Hopefully you're doing well. So, obviously, it's unfortunate wrestling. I thought I'd do another WWE video today. So, some unfortunate wrestling news coming out. On SmackDown this week, Kevin Owens revealing that he will not be able to compete at WrestleMania due to a neck injury. I think he said himself it's looking to be 6 months to a year before he's back in action. Obviously, he will be needing to undergo surgery. Um, Obviously, this is unfortunate, for him to unfortunately pick up an injury, on the road to WrestleMania. That's not something that anyone, that any wrestler wants, is to, get injured at this time of the year, when WrestleMania plans are in full swing. Unfortunately, it's the most unfortunate thing to have happened. The fact that he's got injured on the road to WrestleMania. Obviously they've now got to cancel that match that he was meant to have with Randy Orton. Obviously that match won't be happening now because he's injured. Obviously, I am gutted for Kevin Owens. He's been brilliant. Um, I feel like SmackDown isn't quite going to be the same without Kevin Owens. He's been such a big part of he's been such a huge part of the storylines recently. He's had some brilliant matches. All we can do is wish him a very speedy recovery. Hopefully, obviously, if we're looking 6 months, you're looking at October, November time. But if you're looking at 12 months, you're looking at him not being back until around this time next year. So, well, I guess we can hope for the best possible outcome and hope that he's back within less than a year. Hopefully, hopefully it's going to be sometime soon. Hopefully, it's going to be, sometime before the end of the year. But I don't know that for sure. I don't obviously know. Hopefully, it'll be. It'll be a year. It'll be less than a year. It's obviously a crazy time for any wrestler to get injured, on the road, right on the road to WrestleMania, like unbelievable. I'm very unfortunate for Kevin Owens that he's got injured, at this time of the year. Obviously, it's those unforeseen circumstances. Kevin Owens injured on the road to WrestleMania, and that means he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to compete at the bit of the showcase of the Immortals. So he basically he joins the list of wrestlers who are still out injured. Obviously, Asuka, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, obviously Ilya Dragunov, all big names that are still yet to return. And we were given some obviously Bronson Reed as well. We have been given some updates. Old man knows where we can expect to see those names back. In WWE, we know that Bronson is looking to be returning around the summer, around possibly late summer. Same with Tonga Loa, obviously he'll be back. Well, he's scheduled to be returning around June. We know that Apollo Crews will be back on TV around July time. We know that obviously the Ilya Dragunov is reportedly not due back in WWE until around September, so we're still around 5 months away from him coming back. Obviously we did get the return of Tyler Bate this week in a reunion of New Hatch Republic. Obviously, unfortunately, they did lose. They did lose that match against the New Day. Obviously, which was a bit of a dud. Obviously, as I said, whenever you hear, it's always tough when you hear that a big name, like especially someone like Kevin Owens, has to go out, for an extended period of time. Obviously it must be, I can't imagine what it must feel like, for these wrestlers, not being able, sitting, like basically, not being able to do that thing that they love doing. I mean, obviously, there have been a lot of wrestlers that have had to retire because of unfortunate injuries. Obviously, they've not been able to come back from, draws. Um, you know, Edge was initially forced to retire, but I'm out of retirement. Same with Paige and Daniel Bryan. They were like, I'm out of retirement, but there are names that have never been able to do that. Obviously, Tyson Kidd has never been able to come out of retirement. Big E still, well, he's not retired, but he's never been able to get back in the ring. Obviously, Big E is still yet to be medically cleared. Um, and Big E is one of those names that I look at and I think, I honestly don't know, to be honest. I'm not massively confident that he is going to be medically cleared. That hope is always, I think that hope is always going to be there that, Big E one day gets medically cleared to return and that could happen, but there's no knowing when, at this point, at this moment in time, there's no knowing, when or even if Big E will ever be medically cleared to return. I mean, Jason Jordan, Jason Jordan, again, not medically, it doesn't look likely that he will ever be medically cleared. I mean, it is just unfortunate, when these injuries happen, and obviously neck injuries are, pretty serious. Obviously you do have to, obviously that how obviously most of the time neck injuries require surgery, and obviously you're looking at, you know, being out on the shelf for an extended period of time. That Kevin Owens is reportedly going to be out for 6 months to a year. That was what he said. That's basically what Kevin Owens said, is that he will be out for 6 months up to a year. But it is unfortunate. Like as I said, no one wants to get injured on the lead up to WrestleMania. It must be so hard for for a wrestler to have to miss WrestleMania because of injury. Like this is the thing. Like it's not an illness. It's not. He's had to miss WrestleMania because of an injury. To be honest, I'd rather him miss WrestleMania than him risk aggravating that injury any further. So it's a good thing that he's kind of taking that time off. He's going to be getting surgery. What it is he's going to be getting neck fusion surgery. So he's been out on the sidelines for a while. But all any of us can really do is just wish Kevin Owens a very speedy recovery, and hopefully he gets back in the ring. Hopefully he's able to get back in the ring, before the end of the year, which I don't know, that will definitely be the case. I mean, that probably is best case scenario, is that it will be, 6 months, maybe slightly longer. And I think the worst case scenario is probably a year. It's probably a year. I did see there was a rumor going around that he was going to be out for about 2 to 5 years, but I don't think there's any truth to that. I think he will be. I think well, Kevin Owens himself has said it will be 6 months to a year before he's back in action once again. But obviously, well, the big question is, where does that leave Randy Orton? What are they gonna do with him? Is Randy Orton still gonna have a match at WrestleMania, or does that now mean that Randy Orton is off the hard now or completely off the hard now for WrestleMania and isn't gonna be competing at WrestleMania this year? I'd see them giving him a new opponent, but then again, it's like we've seen that build for that Kevin Owens Randy Orton match. That's now not happening. It's like, what would be the point in giving Randy Orton a new feud now when we're only a few weeks away from WrestleMania? Um, I honestly don't think that he will have a WrestleMania match this year. I did see a few people saying, that maybe they're setting up Randy Orton and Nick Hall versus Nick Aldis at WrestleMania. I can't see that happening, to be honest. I mean, I don't think they would. I don't think they're going down that route. But you know, I would. I mean, why? I mean, do they really need to do that? You know, go down that route? I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, it's gotten obviously for Kevin Owens, but it's also gotten for gotten for Randy Orton as well. As that means that he's most likely going to miss WrestleMania as well this year. Um, I mean, this injury has come. I feel like this injury has come at the worst possible time for Kevin Owens. He did say that it was an injury that he picked up around 4 months ago. Um, he said it wasn't caused by the ladder match at the Rumble with Cody, which I think a lot of people thought it might have been something to do with that, but he's confirmed that it wasn't. He's confirmed that that he basically picked up the injury in a pretty normal match. Obviously he said that that was where it happened. It wasn't really in a in a big match like the one at the Royal Rumble or anything like that. It was just a pretty normal match. You know, I mean that's the thing. Like wrestlers can even get injured even in like the most normal matches. Wrestlers can still get injured, and we've seen that. We've seen how even standard singles matches and can result in serious injuries. As things can go wrong, and yeah, I think a lot of the serious injuries that we've seen in pro wrestling have come from botched moves. Um, Obviously from certain big moves being botched. So I think obviously, which is why certain moves have been backed as well, like the muscle buster. Tyson Kidd's injury is a big part of the reason why the muscle buster was banned. Um, I mean, it's just a crazy time. As I said, get well soon, Kevin Owens, and hopefully, and I wish him a very speedy recovery. So I want to do a little video on that this morning. Give my thoughts on the Kevin Owens injury. I mean, to be honest with you, at first, I didn't think it was legit. I actually did think it was a storyline injury and that it was just a work. Like, I didn't think there was any legitimacy to it. I didn't think this was like a legit injury, but obviously we now know that it is a legit injury. He's confirmed, Kevin Owens himself has confirmed that yes, it is a legit injury and this was not any sort of work storyline right injury or storyline injury as some did originally suspect. I think a lot of people probably did suspect that it was a work, but we now know it's not. As I said, all we as wrestling fans can do is just wish Kevin Owens a very speedy recovery and hopefully we see him again soon. Whether that's this year, I don't know. Maybe it will be the start of next year. Maybe that's it. Kevin Owens. Is it maybe that last night, like obviously this week's episode of SmackDown will be the last that we actually see of Kevin Owens for this year. Maybe that means he'll be off. I honestly do think he'll be off TV for the rest of the year. I can't see him being back. Like, I honestly can't see him being back in action before the end of the year. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think if anything, I think it'll be early next year that we see him back. But whenever he does return, he will come back better. He'll come back stronger, and hopefully he'll get his WrestleMania match next year for WrestleMania 42 if he's back by then, which he has said 6 to 12 months. So he probably will be back by WrestleMania next year with any luck. We just don't know. So I'll see you with another video soon. Have an awesome day and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.